situation in South Africa where we have a government being described by the African National Congress as a government of national unity, but it's not really a government of national unity, folks. Let's be honest, it's a coalition. The reason the ANC is calling it a government of national unity is to keep from pissing off some of their base who don't want a coalition with the Democratic Alliance. It is a coalition, not a government of national unity. For a government of national unity, then we would see people like Bantu Holomisa and Athol Trollop, as well as Musi Maimane and Peter Groenewald, all on the stage. It would be a government of national unity. But it's not a government of national unity. That's what they're calling it. It's a smokescreen. And that's fine. They can call it a government of national unity. They can call it, an apple cart. They can call it whatever they want. The bottom line is it doesn't matter. South Africa now has a government formed. And
Lucas S.E. Lutuli V.N. Mabe B.P. Mabena T.B. Machi B.E. Macpherson D.W. Madigizela B.S. Maduna N. Maeko SM.
That is the broadcast that you're hearing from the Parliament now as they sit at the Cape Town International Convention Center, and they're now voting on the Deputy Speaker of Parliament. The Speaker of Parliament was chosen a short while ago. That is from the ANC, and she is a longtime fossil who's been with the ANC in Parliament since 1994, so no change there. The ANC likes people that never accomplish anything in life except hang around in Parliament. So Dee McPherson from the DA, among others, was called up there. And the Speaker of the House now will be Didiza. She is Toko Didiza she's the Agriculture Minister. Hagan and Megan Sally, thank you for the 14 Rand super sticker. Appreciate it. Hello to you. Toko Didiza is now the Speaker of Parliament, and she will take responsibility. Born on June 2nd, 1965. She is the now Speaker of the National Assembly, and she was the Minister of Agriculture, Land Reform, and Rural Development. And I think we can all argue that that is a failed ministry, and so, of course, what do we do? Promote a failure into this position. The previous speaker was, of course, also a failure, a failed defense minister who served in that role. So it just follows a string of ANC normalcy. They take losers and put them in positions of responsibility. That's what they know how to do. So this permanent political activist and member of the ANC who's been in Parliament, with the exception of a brief 5-year period when she was on the outs from 2014 to 2019, and she was not in Parliament during the state capture era, then she's been in Parliament the whole time. So Toko Didiza is the new Speaker of Parliament. They're currently voting, so you'll hear periodically someone speaking. That is the justices and their staff convene, who are calling up members of Parliament by name to go vote in batches. So the live broadcast that right now has these members of Parliament making their way up to the stage. Here comes some lady. It looks like she occupies 3 seats on a commercial airliner. And now the next batch will be called up.
Mahlangu SS.
We're just into the M's.
LW. Mahlawule MG. Mahlobo MD. Mahumapelo SOR. Maloila PR. Maimane MA.
Musi Maimane. So Musi Maimane is being called up now amongst those others to vote. We still have empty chairs here. It looks as if there's empty chairs from the MK who didn't show up. There's Musi Maimane making his way up to the stage right now to vote. A new member of Parliament for a different party, not the DA. So that's happening as we speak right now, folks. And I have not seen if Ronaldo's been called up. So he would have already been called up. He's a G. We're up to M's now. So that's what's happening. Toko Didiza is the new Speaker of Parliament, a permanent political creature in the ANC. So the DA will get the Deputy Speaker position. The President, the Democratic Alliance has announced the Democratic Alliance will back Cyril Ramaphosa for President. Surprise, surprise. And then the ANC will back.
Honorable members.
Here we go.
Can we converse a bit lower so that you can hear your voices when they are called?
Yes, people
your
are talking
names
too loud.
rather when they are called.
Yeah, exactly. People are talking too much, of course. So the Deputy Speaker will be Annelie Lothriet, who is a graduate of Linden High School here in Johannesburg, a team I watched last night play against Randburg. So she's a graduate of there, 64-year-old, spent time in the Free State, and then wound up in government permanently for the past decade or so. So it will be the Deputy Speaker. There's Musi Maimane, a big smile on his face. So she will be the Deputy Speaker. We don't know beyond that what ministerial positions will be handed out, but apparently the DA is going to give these 5
Maimela
ministries.
KJ,
Next batch.
Madodina PCP, Majozi Z, Makasi N, Mahato MP, Makubela LS, Malatsi MS, Malema JS, Malimacha CN.
Julius Malema. So Julius Malema is now being called up to do his vote for the deputy speaker. Speaking of the deputy speaker, I'll talk back about the speaker again in a moment. But the deputy speaker, Adjournment on News 24 reported that the EFF caucus was visibly upset with the nomination of the DA's Annalie Lortreet for the position of deputy speaker under the DA-ANC agreement. Shaking their heads, speaking out loudly, disrupting things, singing songs, these juvenile characters. One EFF MP walked past the media bench and says they are rewriting the history of the ANC. Well, the history of the ANC is nothing but fairy tales and lies. They have falsely claimed the mantle of liberation, which they had virtually nothing to do with. The ANC has been lying to people for decades, and it has worked. And idiots in the EFF actually think that the ANC's propaganda is the truth. No, they're just but one of a handful of a large number of groups who actually played a role in liberation. The Pan-African Congress, the Black Sash movement, the Black Consciousness movement, and so many others played a far bigger role than the ANC did. They were busy murdering Inkatha members in KwaZulu-Natal back in the 80s and 90s. So the EFF can cry about history being rewritten. History's been rewritten by the ANC, and it's nothing but lies, a tissue of lies. So the vote for the speaker went as follows: 284 votes for Toko Didiza. She came in first, and then second place was given to, or was, excuse me, it's not given to, the votes went to her opponent. Just a second here. Sorry, I've got something coming up on my screen here. I got to make sure we don't have a pressing issue here. Okay, now it's acting up here. So, good evening, Pierre. Just a second here. Something. Okay, that's the vote. Okay, I need to pull up the vote here and get you the numbers on this. So, okay, we got more names being called out
Manacha
now.
L, Manamela KB, Maneli BM,
Maneli.
Mandasha GS,
Gwede
Manyi
Mandasha.
M, Mautwe OMC, Marais EJ, Marais P, Mahau TL,
Peter Murray.
Masango PS.
Peter Murray. Isn't he the guy from the Freedom Front? Anyway, so for the speaker, the vote was 284 votes in favor of Toko Didiza, the former agriculture minister for the ANC, and 49 votes for Veronica Mente from the EFF. They have 39 votes, so they picked up 10 votes beyond their own total. 8 ballots were spoiled. So I ask this question: what kind of dunderheads work in the South African Parliament? I mean, you have one job: to sit there on your bum and vote. That's it. And you can't manage to get your ballot done correctly. You spoil 8 ballots. That's 8 people that shouldn't be in Parliament. They're that stupid. 8 spoiled ballots on that vote. Now you can say, but Chris, maybe somebody was having a protest vote. Then you abstain. That's utter nonsense. Wow, folks. So she is now the Speaker of the House and is conducting events as they unfold. The Deputy Speaker will be voted on right now, and these folks are going up as we speak. So we have a lot of black supremacists and black racists who are running around crying about the legacy of the ANC and a sellout and all this. But cogent, lucid, black South Africans have been pointing out the obvious. The other parties made demands that were unreasonable of the ANC, MK, and of course the EFF. The EFF's line in the sand was that Cyril Ramaphosa must go. The DA said he can stay, so the ANC went with the DA, which is probably the best thing that could happen for South Africa. So Toko Didiza is now the Speaker of the House, and that's a big improvement over her predecessor. Yeah, the DA may get no less than 5 cabinet seats. Ramaphosa may hand the DA no less than 5 senior cabinet posts as a reward for supporting the ANC's efforts to establish the coalition. The agreement between the ANC and DA was that both parties would support each other's candidates in Parliament. The DA supported the nomination of Toko Didiza, while the ANC will support the DA's candidate Annalie Lortreet to take up Deputy Speaker position. Now, the President and Vice President, we'll see what happens. We expect that Paul Mashatile will be nominated. The criminally accused Paul Mashatile will be nominated for Deputy President, but that remains to be seen. So
Maseko LM,
So they're calling out more members of
Masemula
Parliament to go.
NG,
This has been a long day,
Mashabela
folks.
NR, Mashatile SP, Mashele TV, Masina MC, Masondo D, Maswanganyi MJ, Matabata CS.
Now, the ANC had negotiations with the EFF, and the EFF could have joined a coalition with the ANC and joined this government, but the EFF's conditions were outrageous, ridiculous, and something the ANC was unwilling to secede to. And they didn't need to collapse to the EFF's requirements because they've got a majority. 40 plus 22 is 62, plus 4 is 66. They don't need the EFF. And the EFF thought they had some position. And like petulant children, the EFF showed up late. The parliament was sitting. Frankly, the sergeant at arms should have denied them entry into the hall. They intentionally acted like children, showing up after the session started, long after it started, to come in to draw attention because they're just not genuine members of parliament. They are asshats in red jumpsuits. And so shame on them. Yep. So the EFF's demands for key positions fell flat as the DA announced just after 10 o'clock this morning when Parliament sat for the swearing in. That's when they announced, and they didn't, apparently the press didn't cover the story very well because they didn't get the information until about 6 this evening that that's when it happened. But just after 10 a.m., they agreed to a coalition. Now, folks, they keep calling it a new. It's not a new. It's not a government of national unity. It's not. It doesn't include all of the parties. It includes only 3. This is a coalition disguised as a government of national unity so that the ANC doesn't piss off all their followers. No, the scientist Ronaldo will not have to close his channel, and not unless the ethics department at Parliament says he's not allowed to do it. Worst case, they probably might tell him not to monetize it. But he has freedom of speech. Why would he have to close his channel? Before the elections, EFF touted the idea it would enter into negotiations to form a new government with a demand that it would get the finance minister position, and maybe another one.
Matafa OM Matale CC Matulelwa B Mathias L Matiase NS Matsone NWA Mbio IM.
So that's the next batch of members of parliament being called up. So after the elections, the EF lost its third largest position party. It's now the 4th largest party, and they are a non-factor. But they doubled down on their demands, and they said that they would seek the National Assembly Speaker position, which they lost badly here. The DA and the ANC signed the agreement together after 10 o'clock with the IFP to form a coalition, which has isolated the EFF and made them a non-factor in Parliament. Basically, EFF will now sit firmly in the opposition benches and continue its lost trajectory. It will never get where it's supposed to be. Suppose the penguins at the voting boxes just need to check if a ticket is marked, if it's not spoiled. Yeah, exactly. Why? How can 8 members of the parliament elected today give spoiled ballots on their second ballot ever? What a bunch of morons. Yep. So the EFF has formed an opposition coalition with the Pan-African Congress, the United Democratic Movement, Al-Jamaa, UAT, and ATM called the Progressive Caucus. I'm very disappointed to hear that the UDM is part of that. General Holomisa has joined this caucus. That's a bit surprising. I'm very surprised to see that. I hope that's not true, but that's unfortunate. These parties accuse the ANC of using the alliance to disguise. Well, they call it a government national unity. They're saying they're hiding their alliance. Well, they are doing. Chris, what do you make of the behavior of EFF and MK and KZN in the legislature? Yeah, I didn't see what they did there, but I did see they lost the vote. 41 votes, as expected, went to pick the ANC leader, or the IFP leader, to be the head of the parliament. What did they do there? I've been running around all day, folks. By the way, I was at Santon today. Sue recognized me in the parking garage there while we were trying to get a parking machine to work. It wasn't. Here's the next batch.
Mackenzie G, Maklua JJ,
Gate Mackenzie.
Nkunu ES, Nkunu TVB, Ndluli MM, Mente Nkuna NV, Meshwe KRJ, Meth N. So
Gate Mackenzie will be going up now to vote. There he is. No, that's not him. That's not Gate Mackenzie. Sorry. Gate Mackenzie's going up to do his vote now. Yeah. So we got Carl Nyhorst. I got pictures of him. Yeah, Carl Nyhorst. They were acting like clowns. I'm not surprised what happened in KZN. It doesn't surprise me at all. So as I said, Gate Mackenzie will go up to vote now. Let me see if I can find that. Where is the? I had it here somewhere. Somewhere I had that. Now I can't seem to find it. The ANC says they have a government of provincial unity in Gauteng, not a coalition. Well, you can call it what you want, but Panyazi Lesufi has been reelected Gauteng Premier unopposed. The DA backed it. Wow. Panyazi Lesufi, a man they complained about endlessly, they backed. Well, that shows you strange bedfellows politics make. But I'm not finding the stuff about KZN, and I found it earlier. It was all about KZN, but now let me see if I can find it here. Oh, here we go. KwaZulu-Natal. ANC Member of Parliament Noma Gugu Similane nominated IFP leader Tommy Ntuli. DA Provincial Leader Francois Rogers seconds the nomination, and Ntuli accepted. So Ntuli got elected. So the IFP now has the Speaker of Provincial Legislature in KZN, which is not a surprise. Only 18% of the vote. The IFP got 18% of the vote in KZN, and they control the parliament. How cool is that? Not so cool if you're MK or the EFF. I know they're bum hurt. Wow. The Democratic Alliance's member of the provincial legislature, Mamabato Tembe, is elected Speaker of the legislature. So they processed 79 ballots. There was no spoiled ballot, and there was no need for a vote as there wasn't a tie. The results were 40 for Tembe, and MK Party's Mark Chialo got 39. So they have a speaker in the KZN Parliament. It's for the DA, and they have a premier, which is from the ANC. All right. I have not looked at the chat yet, folks. Let me get to that really quickly here. It's probably a good time to look at people's chat. So more are being called now.
PS Mgweba T Mahaule MR Mhlawuli NB Mhlongo NH
Congo.
Kalakis G Milham KJ.
She butchered that last name, Afrikaans name. She butchered that one. All right, so let me get to your chat here because some chat's coming through and I haven't read it yet. So my apologies on that. We'll keep going along with this broadcast as soon as the chat loads for me here. Any day would be nice. Any day. There we go. All right, so let me go back to all chat. I don't want the top chat. I want live chat. There we go. No, Ramaphosa is not gone. We'll see how long he survives. Now, keep in mind, if Ramaphosa is elected president tonight, which is what's coming up, he becomes the president. Oh, did my screen? Oh, it's just the light. I thought my screen cracked. If Ramaphosa becomes the president tonight, ladies and gentlemen, then if there's a vote of no confidence at some point after tonight, Ramaphosa's done. He can't serve as president again. So Spiker Hunt is here. Ramaphosa did not screw up the ANC. ANC screwed up the country with their leader under Ramaphosa. This corrects the bug error in some folks' account with coconuts. Huh? Ramaphosa's not the answer. James Brown here. Teresa, Juju lost a lot of weight. He did. Looks like he's suffering from HIV, to be honest. I mean, or some sort of, life-threatening illness. Levy says GNU will only last a few months, then the ANC will be able to eat alone. I don't think he'll be able to eat alone. Joe says those caterers are well fed. Oh, they are. There are some serious three-seat on a Southwest Airlines passengers there. And they're well fed because of big salary, no, because they're stealing. A non-farmer for speaker. Yeah, exactly. Laudi Monday says hello from Howick. Joe says stay in Parley to stay out of jail. They want the puppet to stay. Yes, Levy. And then Sedgeville's here. The scientists should give the DA the committees. Yeah. Here we go. Some more names coming up now.
Mkhalipi HO, Mkhize ZL, Mkhonto CN, Mkhwebane BJ, Mkutu L, Molutsane ML, Mwango MA, Nganga Tabashe LA.
Yeah, so that's the next batch of members of parliament going up now. So Pete Swart says, did you see Jose? Yeah, I did see Ronaldo. I took a photograph of him, got some good photos, sent it to him. Ronaldo responded to me immediately after he sat down. It was very nice of him. So it's nice of Ronaldo to find my text. He thanked me for congratulating him. How will the next 6 months look? Well, I know, but Bezuidenhout, it's yet to be seen. Mashatile is a crooked tool. Yes, he is, according to the courts. I see the PA not in GNU. No, they're not, James. No, it's not a government national unity. That's why it's a misnomer. It is a coalition, which is what I said all along. The ANC can call it a GNU, but, I'm not alone. The EFF, UDM, others are saying it's just a disguise. It is a disguise. It's not a government national unity. They can try to say this to hoodwink the voters, but the reality is this is not a government national unity. It is a coalition of the ANC, the DA, and the IFP, and there's nothing wrong with that. Stop apologizing for it. Ronaldo's channel now, no, won't have to close. Can you believe this? They have only gone through nominating speaker. Yes, Choky Atheist. I can't believe that's why I didn't do a stream this afternoon. I didn't cover this live because I'd still be on the air sitting in a cafe after all of this. I'd still be in a city. I would be there for 8 hours now. No longer than that. It was 10 o'clock. It's now 7 o'clock in a few minutes. That's 9 hours. And we haven't got a president. We've got a speaker. We're electing a deputy speaker now, and we'll wait for the count to come through. And then they will do a president. But man, give me a break. So Alex Stockel's here. Yes, the next bunch of kleptocrats to steal from us. Send it, Jeff says, what a day for the MK and EFF. Yeah, they got a proper hiding. Indeed, they did. And Gavin says, I really thought Ramaphosa was gone. Nope. Seamus says, what key positions have the DA secured? It's not announced, Seamus. We don't know. We won't know that until a president is elected. Excuse me. We won't know what positions the DA gets until a president's elected. People can hope for the following. If you want the currency markets and for the business community to be happy, this is what needs to happen. The DA must get finance. The DA must get. Here's the next batch.
Mudisempia M, Moela MS, Mufukeng ML,
Mufuke.
Morale
Mufuke, that's his name?
Moai SJ, Mukhala MR, Mukwena, JL, Mukwena, LG, Mulwele NA.
All right, that's the next batch. So they must get finance. They must get the police. And frankly, they should get minerals, but I don't think they're going to get that because Guede Matasha is simply too powerful. And you notice they didn't get rid of Guede Matasha. He's a RET stalwart and RET fossil who will hang around. Yeah, so that's my view. Then you get, otherwise the markets are not going to be happy. Parliament runs in geological time, says Joe. All right, this coalition will not last. None will. Euro-African. It's not Ronaldo, it's Renaldo. Oliver says, hello, Chris the Legend. Hey, Oliver, good to see you there. Ursula's back. I saw Ronaldo being sworn in. So did I. What a grotesque joke, says Joe. I'm willing to bet that the criminal enterprise will betray the coalition with a month, says Joking Atheist. Drop in a bucket. Well, the ANC is not in a strong position. They would be stupid to do that. Suppose the Penguins, okay, I already got that. Ursula says it was super cool. Yeah, it would have been super cool to see me getting sworn in. And Sue saw Ronaldo being sworn in. Yeah, so twice today at Santon City after I finished my my appearance on the Gareth Cliff show this morning. Then I met with a friend of mine, Greg, and we watched this from a coffee shop. Montos is the place we're at. And we hung out there and I didn't leave there till noon. And then I went to Santon City. I was recognized at the food court by a young man and his mother. I didn't catch their name and get a chance for a photo. I was too busy watching my things that were on a table. I have left them unattended, so I kept them within eyesight, and I kept looking over there. So I apologize for not spending time with them. But if they'd like to chat with me, they're more than welcome to do that. So there you go. So that happened. And then I went to the park garage, and the lady was having a hard time with the machine, and she turned around. She goes, oh, it's nice to finally meet you in person. It was Sue. I don't know if it was Sue Walsh, but the lady's name was Sue, and it was nice to meet you as well. And thank you for saying hello to me there at the Santon City Park Garage at entrance 15 to 16. Rainier says, Geen klaktes nie, Teresa. Okay. Here's the next batch.
Muntwedi MK, Moa SJ, Moraka AT, Murolong IK, Musikatsi S, Muteja MA, Mutwaledi PA.
What's the lady? So, Sedgefield is there, says EFF must be the biggest losers, had their horns trimmed, their necks will be in a few notches. Yep, they are the biggest losers, other than the ANC. The ANC is massive losers here. Senate Jeff says, Chris, what do you make of the behavior of EFF? Again, I don't know what they did, so please share me with that. Focus on the subject at hand. What subject are you talking about there, Joe? There are many votes and no confidence. Yep. Carl Nonsense. That's Carl Nyhorse. Euro-African says, P.A. Amhamba. They're acting like children just being disrupted. Yeah, no, they're doing the same thing right now. So when the people up there running this thing just told people to be quiet, they were talking to EFF, not anybody else. They were the ones making all the noise. Undemocratic bastards up to now, says Spikerhood. Friend and family allowed to join members of parliament. For the swearing in, they're supposed to be, but I don't see anybody in that chamber, so I'm not really sure how it worked. This is at the Cape Town International Convention Center because, of course, the ANC morons allowed the parliament to be burned down by a gentleman who occupied the building for something like 18 hours without the police being aware. But despite having closed-circuit television, who knows what they're up to. Rudolph Aerofair says, so bloody glad the best possible outcome actually happened. Not expecting miracles, but finding a chance at recovery. Yes, Rudolph Aerofair, that is correct. Again, I said this is the least worst scenario. It's not great, but nothing was good. This is the best you could hope for, ANC, DA, IFP. And I think the better thing would have been for humility from the ANC and that Hlabisa become the president, but they're not going to do that. If they get rid of Mashatile and make Hlabisa the deputy president, that would be brilliant at this stage, but we know that it's going to be, it was not you, Sue Walsh, but it was a lady named Sue. So whoever she was, thank you for being there, Sue. Okay, so you're all being conspired by your respective political parties. Here you see it well, says Spiker. Okay. Good for Ronaldo, says Joe. Rohan says, I agree. I actually feel a bit excited about this.
PTL,
Yeah.
Gaga, M, Ntolo, NE, Mulder, CP,
Coordinate
Nyai, TB, Mutambi, AF.
All right, what I can say about Parliament, there's a lot of frickin' people whose surname begins with an M. Mackenzie, Mulder, Mutalabe. It's crazy. Yeah, so yes, Rohan, I'm not expecting a lot either, but this is the best outcome that's possible. There was no other option here. The ANC is not going to rule as a minority government. They'll face votes of no confidence, and they'll have to call elections. There's no money for elections. There's no interest in elections, so they need to work together. This is the best you can get for it. So hopefully the DA will get proper ministry so they can improve the country, while ANC is stealing out the back door. But we'll see what happens. Senate Jeff says yes, 3-0 in KZN. And thanks for coming, guys. Yeah, 3-0, cool. Love it that MK. What's that? Said did not show. Oh, voice really jumped on me there. Okay, there we go. Rudolph says, right, for once, the ANC has had spine and pair with a party that's at least somewhat accountable rather than all the dissenting voices like communists and the EFF. Exactly, Rudolph Arofero. Mirafki says, what do you think of the chances that the DA ends up supporting things like EWC, NHI, BE, and affirmative action? Well, that is the $64,000 question now, isn't it, Euro-African? That is the $64,000 question. Will the DA betray South Africans?
Vanna, NQ, Myberg, NG, Nalumango, RS, Ndabeni Abrahams,
We're finally into the
ST,
end.
Ndalane, NA,
Stacey Abrahams,
Damase,
Communication Minister, right?
P, Ndlozi, MQ.
Order, honorable members.
See?
Please try to lower your voices. Some of the members
EFF,
are unable to hear their names when they are called.
such juvenile children. They should be removed for disruption. So will the DA betray the country? Well, I think they will betray the country on BE. They won't push to stop it. They won't. They will probably fight EWC, and I think they'll probably acquiesce to even NHI, which would be a complete betrayal of the country, and hope that maybe someone else can take it to court so they don't have to be seen as fighting it. Yeah, we'll see what the DA does. Freelance says, Kate, they're going to be exhausted. Well, so what? They get paid 2 million rand. They can deal with it. Should we be worried about MK causing public arrest next few days? Creef, I don't know. I don't think that's the case. The security cluster is still on alert in KZN, among other places, for any trouble. And it appears that the MK has mostly been a toothless tiger, kind of like the actual, their inspiration. Mkhonto Wesizwe was a toothless
Nel
tiger.
May HE,
More coming
Nel
up.
AC, Nemadzinga Chavalala J, Ngobo SL, Gobeni LM, Nana ME, Nehas CG, Nkabane NP.
All right. So Patrick says, I don't know. I have this terrible feeling about MK and Zuma. Yeah, no, I can understand why you have it. This is why I cautioned people last week when Zuma opened his mouth and said, don't provoke us. There will be trouble. I cautioned you to check your radios, check your batteries, check your JoJos, check your emergency procedures, where your barriers are, where your people are. Make sure you still got the same people. People die. People move. Rehearse your security patrol. Come up with a duty roster. All of that I told you a week ago. If you haven't done all that, something happens, it's on you. It's on you. Yep. I'm not saying anything's going to happen, but if something is going to happen, it'll probably happen in KZN. It'll probably happen soon because the EFF, who cares? They got 2 representatives. They have no votes in KZN because MK took all their votes. But MK has a right to be angry in KZN. From their perspective, I don't think it's legit. Charmaine Smith says, indeed, all gesund, so fat. Yeah, they're all healthy, they're so fat. Yeah, but aren't they represent the poor? Janet Liddy's in from South Carolina. Prince Chebekulo says, what's going on in KZN? That's a good question. Gavin says, you surprised the DA haven't gotten much yet? Do you think they'll get more ministries? Well, there's only three things to get right now, right? There's the president, well, it's four: president, deputy president, speaker, and the deputy speaker. If they got the deputy speaker, let's see if they get a deputy president. I doubt they will. The DA was always ANC light, says Shai Davids. I don't argue with that. Must be so happy, Ronaldo. Yeah, I think Ronaldo is probably tired at this stage, sitting there all day. Now my DA vote gets into bed with ANC twats, not what I voted for. Well, that's not what you voted for.
NS, Nkosi, NE, Nodada, BB, Noluchungu, NJ, Nontenja, CT, Nontsele, M, Nola, X,
Nola,
Tlangwini,
Nola.
EN.
Nola. So, okay, but let's be honest here. I mean, it's, and yes, Rohan, I did call an ANC DA IFP coalition as the votes came in. That seemed to be the most logical. So, Shad Davids, I understand your frustration, your anger, but brother, let's just talk about this. What else do we expect to happen? Somebody is calling me. I have to ignore this. They're calling me on this number. I don't know what that is. I'll call them after the stream. What else did they expect to happen? Let me grab my other phone in case they call me on that one. Right back. It might be Avis, I don't know. But I mean, let's be honest, Chad. I mean, did anyone here think that the DA was going to get 50%? Did anyone here think that the multi-party charter was going to get 50%? That was never going to happen. We knew that. So what does that mean? That means that they're going to have compromise and a coalition with somebody. The ANC was never going to go to 33%. I'm the only analyst. Now, a lot of people are saying after the fact, no, well, I predicted. You all didn't predict jack squat. I predicted November 2021. I predicted 38 to 42%. And I said, figure your coalitions out based on that. And I stuck to it. So what did people expect when they went to the polls? People, if they were paying attention to the polls, knew the ANC was going to get less than 50%, so they're going to need a coalition partner. The scary part was, what if they got 45%? Then all they needed was EFF or PA and one other small party. What if they got 48%? Then all they need was a PA. That's a scary thought. So what did people expect? As far as throwing your vote away, I appreciate where you're coming from, but I don't think you're throwing your vote away. I think that the 22% the DA got and the fact that ANC voters stayed home and 1 million of them went and voted for the MK means that you have a chance for a new day in South Africa. Don't get too excited, but it's a chance. Nothing going on. Just MK got burned in legislature. Yes, they did. Thank God I didn't vote for the DA and never will, says Ravani. It does matter.
Nchali, LL, Nchabeni, KPS, Ntuli, M, Nyonzo, M, Nzimande, BE, Nzuza,
Nzimande.
NB,
Blade Nzimande
Pabo,
is still there.
V, Pitch, WD.
Yes, realistically, South Africa does have an outside chance. Rudolph says, I guess Ramaphosa just needs to copy Paul's speech from Dude to assert dominance. Does that include where he does the voice thing? He projects his voice and shatters the rock. I don't think that's in Ramaphosa. Sean says, yep, an ANC light is more dangerous to your health, same as Coke light because it contains aspartame. All right, Hunter says it's Lecker. Geez, she's quick. Thule. It's Lecker in South Africa. I watched this sitting today. Amazing the way Julius was looking at the white faces. He called enemies lots of whites. Yeah, well, the guy who wears Breitling watches rides around in Land Cruisers and he gets money from white monopoly capitalists. He's complaining about whites. Teresa says, I'm relieved our government national unity. No, it's a coalition. Werner Krug is here. Welcome to you. Says, bless you. Thank you so much. Ravani says, vote for the DA is a vote for the ANC. Not exactly accurate, but I appreciate your frustration. Bless you. Oh, you mean bless you. I got there, Werner. So, Mama Joyride wants another free trip. Well, there's no World Cup this year. She's going to have to wait. Just a shout out to Chris. You have a new subscriber, viewer who has joined for the first time, Rohan. Yeah. All right, Rohan, greetings to you. Thank you for joining for the first time. Chris Stain, I've been reading Rohan's comments. Chris Stain says, Steen Houston said earlier Ramaphosa will be president. Yes, the DA, I said that earlier. Some people are tuning in late. Ramaphosa, the DA has backed Ramaphosa to be president, so he will be president. It's as simple as that. 159 votes plus another 87 takes him well over the margin. So it will be Cyril Ramaphosa. John Jarvis says, I see that Ronaldo went the extra mile with his blue shirt, but please, someone tell him that brown shoes are not a match for his color. Well, if you're metrosexual, they are. Ronaldo's always calling Romana metrosexual.
JS, Perla MJ, Piri CM, Hawani MB, Plykis WTD, Pool CJ, Potgieter LR, Powell EL, Pule DD.
Dropping a bucket says it might have been on a different planet this week, but why did the MK decide to attend? Well, the MK is arguing the election was illegitimate. The MK is arguing that they were cheated, that they won the majority in the country. I mean, I don't know what planet they're on. I mean, I saw a video today from Neil De Beer complaining that his son went and voted in a constituency, and he said he voted for the UIM, and there were no votes. So that may be a legitimate concern, but there's no way in God's green acre. I mean, just look at the numbers. They just they make sense. The MK party got 45% in KZN. I thought 35, but they got 45. Very impressive. They got 18% in Mpumalanga. Not a surprise. A bunch of Zulus live in the top part of, or the bottom part of Mpumalanga next to KZN. And they got 10% in Gauteng, where lots of Zulu live and work. Not a surprise. But they got like 2% in Northern Cape, 1% in the Western Cape. You know, the rest of the country, they got nothing. So they didn't win this election. They're just full of it. So they want to oppose it. They say it's not legitimate. They want it revoted. They want the whole thing thrown out. So they're trying to make a statement. So this is their first act in Parliament, to act like asshats. So that's what they're going to be treated like, asshats. And they've been kept out of government because they are asshats. An asshat. So that's why. DLA most likely get minimum input. Well, possibly. Alan Kutza says, to everyone bitching about the DA siding with the ANC, what the hell else could they do? Well, that's my point, Alan. Look, I'm not in favor of an ANC coalition with the DA. Not at all. But there's no other option here. There's no option here. South Africans, and listen, you know, people keep telling me, and they've been telling me for years, especially people to the far right who are white South Africans, well, blacks will always vote for the ANC. That'll never change. Well, that's horse manure. There's horse manure. The horse manure. The ANC has lost half of its black voters from its first vote ever. They lost 4 million from the last vote. And they didn't all go to MK. Don't delude yourself into that. They lost 4 million voters. 4 million voters. Obviously, black people won't vote for the ANC into perpetuity or till the rapture. It isn't going to happen. We saw it in this election, which I predicted and told you about in 2021. What is the ANC supposed to do? What is the DA supposed to do? Someone has to govern. And people in this country, regardless of their skin color, white or black, vote for parties based on identification. I was with Chris Marie last night. She was telling me about a person.
Ramaila KS, Ramaphosa MC, Ramokhupa ML, Ramokhupa KD,
Electric Slide Minister.
Ramulubeng A, Ramungalo TR, Ruos AC, Rock FC.
Come on. Who else? Come on. Okay, they're done there. All right, so I lost track of where I was at before they happened.
Rock FS.
He's reading it again there. So, yeah, What are they supposed to do? They have to form a government. So the best you can hope for is that the DA is honest, like they claim to be, and they put the brakes on ANC corruption and theft, and you get some legitimate governance. But the bottom line is this: policy will not be decided by a political party in their headquarters at Lutuli House any longer. They have to come to Parliament. They have to debate in committee. They have to actually work for these things. So that's a good thing for South Africa. It's not ideal. No, it's not. And I'm not in favor of it. But there is no alternative. Stop corruption from being exposed, okay? Markets. Where are the people in between all this nonsense? What do you mean, end markets? What do you mean, end? What do you mean, markets? So what you're saying is that if South Africa's government is collapsing, that we should be buying your rand? No, we're going to dump the rand because it's an unreliable economy. That's what the world does. Ex-Ploma says hello. Well, hello, Ex-Ploma. Philip Nell, Ian Cameron for Minister of Police. Well, there's a lot of talk about that. We'll see if it happens. But Becky Chile is no longer there. Wouldn't this be the ultimate comeuppance for the Cat in the Hat? The Cat in the Hat will have to sit at home in retirement watching the kids while Ian Cameron becomes Minister of Police. I don't think the ANC will do that, but that would be interesting. All right, so what else we got here? Thank God the DA is doing search and rescue. Yep. I think some people just complain about everything since freelance can't yet. Gavin Grant says, do you think the EFF is dominating opposition on purpose? Clearly, they're never getting the votes. What do you mean nominating an opposition? Nominating a candidate? well, people shouldn't run unopposed. Nothing wrong with nominating a candidate that only gets votes from your party.
Sangoni, KLN, Sapo, L, Sarupen, AN, Souls, A, Shikaling, Shikaling L,
No.
Shreba, LA, Siabi, AM, Situlu, IS, Sekwati, SC.
Yeah, so do you think the F is, yeah, I don't understand the question, Gavin. So Sue says your appearance in Gareth was great. Well, thank you. I really enjoyed it. It was a short appearance, just a half an hour, but it was pretty cool. Did you like how I made the digs about how I have to travel 6,000 miles to be on the show? Teresa Smuts says Neil De Beer. Well, I believe you can, under the South African system, you can nominate 2 or 4 cabinet ministers who aren't members of parliament. That's a possibility. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's a possibility. Spikerhund says, whoops, hang on a second here. Spikerhund says, PA is the Americans and the mongrels and the Hollywood boys. Oh, you're talking about the gangsters. Rudolph says, friend, it's Kate, and I wonder how many of those complaining the loudest never even voted. That's a good question. And says, we're going to show Ramaphosa that our people did not die for nothing. The GNU is a joke of the year. No, it's not. What people died in? What people died? Please elaborate. And died for what? What are you talking about? The ANC didn't do squat. They didn't accomplish a damn thing. The liberation of South Africa was accomplished by the Black Consciousness Movement, the Pan-African Congress, the Black Sash Movement, the Liberal Party, international sanctions, and a host of other things, but not by the ANC. They were just a minor player. Sue says it wasn't her. Okay. All right. Good viewership so far, says Pierre. But my name is Sue. Oh, stop that, Gary. Nicole Lynn says, appreciate your... Oh, it just jumped on me. I was trying to read Nicole's comment, and this thing jumped on me. Sorry. I'm just sitting here, and it just jumps. Annoying that. All right. Let me get back to where we're at there. We've got a lot of comments here I got to catch up on. So, okay, there is... No, that's not it yet. Come on. There's Nicole. Okay, Nicole Lynn, appreciate your straight talk. Keeping it real is the only way. Thank you for taking time to do some words. My pleasure, Nicole. Thank you for becoming a subscriber. Please tell your friends. Please, if people even watch content, just become subscribers. Help me get back over 20,000, and let's get the content viewed. Appreciate it.
Silamulela. SD. Sene. MM.
Shabango.
FL. Shelembe. ML. Shikwambana. Shivambu, NF.
Shivambu, Floyd Shivambu. Ugh.
TG, Sibia, NM.
Senate Jeff says it's official now. Ntuli is a premier. Good day for us here in Durban. Now for Ian Cameron. It is a good day in Durban. The MK with 45, the largest party in the provincial legislature, is out. They have no say. DeBarab is here. Hey, George, how's it going? I haven't seen you in a while. I thought you went AWOL. Teresa, I remember 2014 IC appropriated votes. Okay. PK says, I still find it funny that people think the government will save the people. We're all pawns in the game. Only government survives. And says the coalition is going nowhere. The ANC cadres will be voting with the opposition and frustrating the whole thing. Possibly, and you may be spot on. But they can be removed, many of them. They can be removed from Parliament, so those ones will have to be careful. I bet many of Mashatili and Gigaba's ex-girlfriends in office as top positions. DJ Half Track says, hey, Chris, Reese here. Love your analysis. My dad does too. He always sends it to me. Normally, I've seen it already, though. Well, thanks for sharing that, and thanks for becoming a subscriber. I really appreciate it. So Putty Nose is going to run free like his buddies. Yeah, exactly. All right. So EFF should be removed from this session. They should be removed. That's exactly right. Zoom in to address the nation on Sunday, according to MK Twitter page. All right. MK Twitter page. Okay. Well, let's see what Zoom has got to say. The DA will sell you out to save themselves, says Ravani. Obviously, Ravani doesn't like the DA, but then I'm not a fan either. They'll all be sitting in their high towers. Best believe. It's time for this clown show. The corrupt again. Spare me. Thurman Ezekiel says, hi, late to the party, but what happened to the MK refusal to attend? What was the impact with Parliament sitting? It has no impact whatsoever, ladies and gentlemen. The Constitution stipulates that in order to vote on issues that matter in the Parliament, including nominating and selecting people, you must have a quorum. And a quorum, according to the Constitution, is not 50 plus 1. It is 1/3. or 134 members of parliament must be present. We're well past that. We've got well over 300 members present, so we have a quorum. And MK's intransigence, its juvenile behavior means absolutely nothing. They just like fools. And they're not the only ones. The EFF didn't show up on time. There was a huge gap in the building. There were 58 empty seats plus 39 others.
Honorable members,
They're talking again. EFF is running.
may I ask those of you who are standing, and I've observed that most of you have been standing most of the time. I understand you may be tired, but can we please take our seats and ensure that the House decorum is observed? Thank you.
And there is Floyd Shivambu going up to place his vote for Deputy
TP.
Speaker.
Singh N.
They're voting for Deputy Speaker
Singh
now.
S. Sitole KP. Sitole RJ. Siweya RT.
Right.
Skosana GJ. Smith CFP. Smith.
Let me thank NFP for saving KZN from the MK. Yes, Prince Tsebu Kulu agreed 100%. The National Freedom Party got its head out of its rectum and voted the correct way. So it's 41 to 37. They're voting Slotsteenkamp for the deputy speaker. The speaker, Toko Dzidza, has already been selected from the ANC. She is the former agricultural minister, another failed member of the government being promoted. James says, don't you think EFF MK make nonsense? Yes, they do. We can see what is happening in South Africa. Says Bona Kele Kambule. Bona Kele Kambule, what is happening in South Africa? Democracy in action? People voting? And you know what? I'm not sure what your position is or what you mean here, Bona Kele Kambula, but the ANC had 4 million people didn't show up at the ballot. So that's on them. Sean Gunter says IFP Mtuli just became KZN Premier. That's correct. Dropping a buck. EFF wanted transparency with the vote counting, but aren't so transparent with the VBS bank dealings. Well, the transparency, what? They want people to show their votes? No, it's a private vote. Hopefully we'll survive the weekend. I'm sure you will. We'll see. Tax, not just the guys who make enough pay. The VAT you see on your seats is tax. Correct. As is the petrol, you pay taxes. Many things. Paraffin, you pay taxes. Rivani says DA is very incompetent opposition to ANC. There's literally no one else popular enough to stop ANC sliding into Marxist hole. Teresa says tornadoes, the political prostitute, says RJ, the EFF. Carl Nyhorst is up to vote. I missed that. Is he up there now? Aren't we past that already? Yeah, or that was a while ago. Carl Nyhorst, yep. All right. EFF and MK are being spanked. Agreed. Just goes to show the country can't vote and count the final tally in the same week.
Sopopo Sompamasiu NS, Sochu Spies ERJ, Steenhuisen JH, Subrathi SI, Swart SN, Swart B, Tafeni N.
Okay, that's the next batch going up to vote. Could Ronaldo be calling you? No, that's not Ronaldo's number. I think it's Avis because they're trying to refund me some money. I thought the NPC would get more than 50%. Also, I'm not going to read that, RJ. No, I said that all along that they weren't going to get that much. It'd be nice, but it isn't going to happen. The whole coalition is a big surprise to me. I can't believe it's happening. To be very honest, as freelance Kate. Creef says, do you think there's a better chance of the Bulls beating Leinster than BE being abolished? Yes, I do. I do. I think there's a far better chance of the Bulls beating Leinster than BEE going away. Absolute. RPG says, anyone see a lot of comments in a few of the other live feeds today? Orania seems to be their next target. Whose target? Wonder, the EFF, if MP salary is going to be as heavily taxed. It should be. Rivani Freiberg says South Africa actually balkanized, split up into tribal regions. This coalition is a lot better than I thought, says freelance Kate. Realistically, South Africa has an outside chance. Mark Sayers is here, Mira Haynes. Something's very sad news. Yeah, Ma Baker says, yes, of course, DA backs Squirrel. He's the chosen puppet of the West. He's the chosen puppet of the West. Ma Baker. No, he's not. We don't give a crap about South Africa geopolitically, trust me. Chris out of Africa, I'm very relieved about this outcome. Regards from Scotland. Welcome from Scotland. Who got the ministry stationary? James says, just a reminder about the UCS Sean Stewart to get in touch with him. Yeah, James, I just spent about 3.5 hours with Sean Stewart. He just visited me, and I spent over 3 hours with him discussing things. So thank you for that. He was very gracious with his time, as was I, and we had a very good conversation. Yep. Who thought the coalition would happen? I never did. Well, Freelance K and I predicted it when the results came out.
Tetyana Y Thembekwayo SS.
Patrick says that many DA voters, like ANC voters, they can't see what differences need to be set aside. Yes, you're correct.
Tikana Qotiwe W Tito LF, Klong KC, Tolashe NG,
Olo,
Prolip
Olo,
RAG.
Kong. No, Olo, Kong. Well, that's a mouthful. Say those back to back. Olo, Olo, Kong. All right, so those are tough names to pronounce, folks. Tommy Side says it will be the next head of Home Affairs. No idea. I'm so happy the DA is part of the national government. We got a lot of news coming out of this, still coming, even tomorrow when we got rugby focus. Yep, so Greta Montashe is still there. Yep, 105 likes. So what are you up to? 145 likes. Trace says, I think they only got 33%. That's why they jumped to a line with DA3. Who got 33%? Are you talking about Gauteng? The ANC got 35 in Gauteng, and they got 40.2 nationally. They got 17% in KZN. Who is voting? Is it everyone that has a seat? Yes, every one of the 400 members of parliament get to vote now. And that's why it's taking a god-awful long time to get the answers here. What else? Antoinette Short says, with you, Patrick Vianella. Okay. The man on the street pays VAT on their purchase. They pay tax. I must say that you are more handsome being in South Africa. Thank you, Helen.
Chotetsi NT, Van der Merwe LL, Van der Walt D, Van Staden PA, Van Zyl AM, Vilakazi
So
SG,
almost finished.
Wakelin KH,
They'll count the votes, and we'll have a deputy
Webster,
speaker, which will be Annalie
NL
Lord
versus
Reed
W
from the
W.
DA. And the EFF will boo, no doubt. Watch them act like clowns. So once we get the vote totals here, then they're probably going to boo, and you just watch. So the Sales Sleuth podcast, I love how no one asks the question of the MK. What happens when there's a recount and nothing changes or you lose support? Wake up, says PK. I'm not sleeping. Spot on as always, Chris Bang in the middle with 40%. A rare live show for me in a long time. Managed to watch Ronaldo getting sworn in. Nice to have some spare time to watch live. Well, thank you, Online Optics. It's good to see you again. And yeah, it's a normal time for me broadcasting. I would always be on the air right now, except I'd be doing it from the other side of the Atlantic, but I'm here in Northcliffe doing it. So thank you for that. Philip Bruce says, can't believe Ramaphosa for president. He did such a poor job. Well, that's coalition politics. Who would be the ideal candidate for Minister of Home Affairs, and why is Gayton so hungry for this part of his political campaign? Yes, Rohan, he wants it so he can deport people. He wants to use Home Affairs to kick illegal aliens out of the country. He'll probably kick some legal aliens out of the country, which is a problem, but he wants to kick them out. That's why he wants Home Affairs. But yes, it was part of his campaign. Everyone does pay tax, just not the same level. Yeah, value added is a joke. There's no value added, it's just extra money. It's a very long process, Chris. What comes after this vote? Okay, Debbie, that's a good question. After this, they tally up these votes, and then they will tell us who the deputy speaker of parliament is. And I can tell you already, the ANC, we'll see how many ANC people vote. 189, so it better be 284 votes, just like it was the other way. So 159 votes from the ANC plus 87 from the DA. So, right, that takes you out to 159, 259. Minus 13. Ooh, so we won't know because other parties vote. But Annalie Lortriet, a graduate of Linden Hers School here just down the road in Johannesburg, and she will be, the 64-year-old will be the deputy speaker from the Democratic Alliance. Then they go and they vote for the president.
AG, Velskat C,
We're at W now.
Chaba PP,
Laba Jaba.
Tlaeko SG,
All right.
Yako YN, ZBSS, Zikalala S, Zondi S, Zondo SS, Zungula V.
Zondo. So Herman Ruiz says, hello everyone, today's very interesting. Yeah, Herman, I saw a message from you, but I haven't gotten to it yet. I've been busy. They want Ramaphosa to be president because nobody else can fix the mess. It's not a reflection of competence. Correct. Thanks for your updates. Much appreciated. Oh, Erica, okay. Dropping a buck. So MK is like half the population doesn't realize every vote makes a difference. Yep. Becca Tilly can come landscape the garden. He's a garden boy. RPG says, Chris, you can pronounce names better. I can, or I am pronouncing it better. or you tell me I'm being cheeky. This time around, I think the voters should take some serious responsibility. We voted for the current situation. Some of us voted with their heads, some with their hearts, and some with their asses. And others voted based on skin pigmentation. And shame on those who did that. Looks like the small parties like Action SA and Freedom Front Plus have kind of been kicked to the curb. Yes, they have, as has the EFF. They've all been kicked to the curb. The only parties that matter in Parliament now are the ANC, the IFP, and the DA. And as long as they hold together, everything will be done that they want. Imagine if you could say you wanted your tax to go to a certain party and it's not allowed to corrupt government. Well, that'd be interesting. Anyway, good if the ANC stays in power for the next 4 years. It's 5 years of hell will be blamed on the ANC. Mr. Farr, sorry, megaphone interview a wee bit better than Gareth Cliff. I don't understand your love for rugby. Oh, okay. Well, Gareth Cliff was 3 people, and the megaphone interview was just me, so I get to talk and say what I want. Yeah. So you didn't like the Gareth Cliff interview, Mr. Farr? Sorry, or you just think it wasn't as good as the other one? South Africa would change. Okay, and it jumped on me again. Got to come back here. I missed some things. I've got a bunch of memberships that came in here thanks to probably, I'm going to guess that's Nick. Oh, come on. Stupid thing. Okay, I was there already. Come on, chat. All right, I was there. This time around, okay, there we go. Okay. Okay, Richard Lemon's here. Welcome, Richard. Sean says, yep, and all those entities were financed by globalist financial powers to push an agenda. How, Sean? How? Who? Ursula says, I'm not a fan of DA going to the ANC, but it's time parties put South Africa ahead of themselves. It's best of a bad situation. Thank you. That's what I've been saying all along. Rural Africa ruling, says Joe. Cloud Sound says, what are the consequences of the MK rioting again in KZN to their own future? Well, if they could tie it to the party, if they have evidence of it, then it's disastrous. And those people will be prosecuted. But unless the party's inciting it, you really can't do much about it. But why do we think MK will understand they're not in control and Zulu way is always the Asa guy, says RB. Richard says, don't like, what's this? And hoping cameras up, police minister. Yeah. George is still around. Just been occupied with too many other things the past 2 weeks. Been watching after the fact. Well, thank you for watching. Courtesies political elites must remember French King Louis and his wife must not think they were untouchable. Floored Shavambo. And Erica gave 10 memberships.
Order, honorable members.
Honorable members. Order.
Are there any members who have not voted and wish to do so now?
I didn't vote. Can I vote now?
If not, the assistant returning officers will close and seal the ballot boxes.
And then count the ballots. Should vote for president tomorrow morning. It's getting late, says a scientist. Sue Wall says, your sense of humor is spot on. The circus has begun, same showing. So, Dylan Combert got a membership. That's awesome. Thank you for that. I am Hines.
Speaker.
Ride Restoration.
Yes,
Sue
honorable
Farrell.
member.
Les
Please
Bankton.
don't
Tommy
forget the
Ludick.
observers.
Olivia Scrooby. Wendy Burrows. Tiger and Sweets all got
Thank
gifted
you very
memberships from
much,
Erica. Thank
Honorable
you.
Shivambo.
Floyd
Indeed,
Shivambo.
I was going to request, if parties do not have a problem, if the same representatives who were observers in the first voting process can do so. But if they wish to nominate others, they can do so too.
All right, well, of course
No,
they
yeah,
can.
we'll proceed like that. So the
Now,
same.
this
all
is Toko
parties
Didiza, the new Speaker of Parliament.
Okay, that the same representative becomes the observers. Thank you very much.
All right, so that
I
saves
was
a lot of
representing
time.
everyone, Speaker, so we're fine.
Floyd Shivambo
Order.
is trying to be
I
entertaining.
now suspend proceedings to enable the returning officers to count the votes in my presence and report the results to me. As we suspend these proceedings, other members, I will request that you go and have your dinner,
Yeah.
the same place where you had your lunch, so that when we come back with the announcements
When
of
will
the
they
vote,
reconvene?
we would have had dinner, and those of you who need comfort break would have done so already. The bells will be rung for 5 minutes rather, before resumption of the proceedings. The House is adjourned.
For how long, sweetheart? Toko Didiza didn't tell us how long the House is adjourned. So they're going to take a break now, and she didn't say how long they're going to get to go eat, but it'll take some time to count the votes. Wow, that's disappointing. I wanted to know. So, yeah, those memberships. Chris Stain says, is Chris Pappas not a... No, Chris Pappas is not. He was on the list for the provincial legislature premier, and he's not in there. I think he's still the mayor. He stays in Mgani. I'll be interviewing him next week on the 24th. Or, yeah, the week after. 10 days I'll be interviewing him. So, yeah. Gabriel says, Erica, you've forgotten me. White Diamond Child's here. Wow. Cyril Ramaphosa should step aside, not even be considered president. Yeah, I agree. I agree. They're not desperate, but they're not going to get this without him. Quite frankly, we can dislike Sir Ramaphosa all we like, but the only reason that there's a coalition going forward is because of Ramaphosa, most likely. I mean, Gwede Mantashe and the Radical Economic Transformation faction, if they had their way, this would be a coalition with MK. So keep that in mind. I mean, we don't like Cyril, and Cyril is, Munir Palapala, a man who likes to, anyway. But think about it, folks. Think about it. Zimbabwe, is EFF going back to Zimbabwe? I don't know if they are. Okay. Sean Goodness says, Chris, you say knee horse, which is a bit below the belt, but actually it's knee horse. Yeah, well, I say it as an insult. We've been saying it for a long time as an insult. Kuban is back, and salute back to you. No control on YouTube membership choice. No, the membership choice is done by YouTube. It's based on who's present in a chat, and if somebody buys memberships, it just happens. Yep. Debbie says, good question. Chris Stein is, as he is brilliant. What happens now? The coalition, can they vote Papa Sin? No. If he's not a member of parliament, unless hey, Gabriel just gave Swiss francs 5. Thank you for that. Super chat. Appreciate it. Who'll be Minister of Foreign Affairs? Gabriel, we don't know, brother. We don't know. We have to get a president first, and he picks his cabinet. I agree. No country cares about South Africa unless they punch money into the government to use it for apartheid and make it a thing. What else? I'm very happy to be here. We're very happy to hear about Sean Stewart. Yeah, no, it was an interesting conversation. We are looking at doing an interview on Tuesday. So if you're curious about the United Cape States, Tuesday, Sean Stewart and I will be having an interview, and we'll see whether we do it live or not. So it just depends on the connection. Ben Labiskaki says this setup will see the DA decline in future years, as did ANC, possibly. And last is Zuma G for Gupta. Oh my goodness. Okay, what else? I hope Steenhuisen is not busy with a big screw up going in the ANC. Senator Jester, do you think Labisa will be the deputy president? Would be a mega achievement for the IFP with 4% or whatever they got, but it wasn't a lot nationally. No, I don't know. There's talk of a second deputy, but you can't do that today because there's no position. You'd have to alter either pass legislation in Parliament and or alter the Constitution to allow for a deputy president, but the legislation has to be in accord with the Constitution. I'm not a scholar. I can't when it comes to that law. But they will have to change things. They can't just appoint. But you're going to wait, Chris. The government of national unity under Mandela had two deputy presidents. True. But this Constitution wasn't promulgated. This Constitution didn't come into effect until 96. So anyway, that was formed before this Constitution, with the interim Constitution, which allowed for that kind of thing. So I think it's a mistake to make IFP Labisa the deputy president number 2. I think deputy president number 2 is stupid. I think that, quite frankly, in my mind, Labisa should have been the president. The ANC should show humility. 60% of the country voted against them, and they lost 4 million votes, an unbelievable amount of votes. The DA only got 22%. They lost 115,000 votes. Both should show humility and not nominate a president. They should nominate Labisa to be the president. Yes, they only got 4%, but the IFP is the only major party that gained votes. Everyone else lost votes. The IFP gained 30,000 votes, not a lot, but bear in mind, they had to deal with the rise of MK, who got a lot of votes. So keep that in mind, folks. Senator Jeff, okay, no romance without finance. The DA will love, yeah, they want finance for sure. Only realize now they're voting alphabetic. I think the names get too, yeah, they are a little distracting. Okay, what else we got here? So it jumped on me again. Oh, come on, man, this stupid thing. Okay, I was there, okay. All right, now I'm back. White Diamond Childs, most of these trained SEALs can't even speak English properly, mumbling and stumbling over their words. IFP got KZ, and there's no need for Labisa to be deputy president, but he can't play another role in national government. No, I think Labisa should be president, not deputy president. John Jarvis says, watching live coverage, MPs seem a lot younger this time around. There are a lot younger ones, yes. The next election will be very interesting. I thought this one was very interesting. Gareth Cliff was rolling banter about everything, but when I hear rugby, conversation is elevated, says Mr. Farr. Okay. They expect us. Okay. Joy Gareth as well, by the way. Thank you for that, Mr. Farr. Jacques Fid says, if I was ANC, I would use the DA to go after Zuma and EFF for all the corruption and fraud. No Zuma equals. Yeah. Smart. That's smart, Jacques. Purple Calamoo. Who are you rating as the president VP? Well, I'm not going to get my wish. My choice would be president would be Labisa. Deputy president. I hadn't thought much about it. Deputy president if Labisa is president. But, gosh. Leon Schreiber from the DA. There you go. Oh, but it's going to be Ramaphosa and Mashatile. That's who's going to get it. Ramaphosa and Mashatile, because the ANC has got the backing of the DA for their corruption accused to be the president and vice president. Chris, be honest, in South Africa going nowhere slowly. Ravani, I said that this is Zimbabwe for South Africa. I did this video and nobody watched it. Just 2,400 of you watched it 2.5 months ago. I predicted this outcome, one of 4 possible scenarios based on the Brent Hurst Foundation poll. If I said if those poll numbers held, and they did hold pretty well, then, although they said ANC's at 38, it was close, I said if this holds, then these are the 4 coalition possibilities. Go watch the video. Look for my channel, look for coalition possibilities, and you'll find it. Or potential coalitions is what I think called it. And I said that Zimbabwe for South Africa is what this is. I'd left the IFP out of it, but I put DA and ANC in this role, and this means that the rot will continue, the country will continue to decline, human capital will continue to flee the country, foreign direct investment will continue to flee the country, the infrastructure will continue to collapse. The DA will bring more resources in by collecting more taxes, by having the finance ministry, and the ANC will steal. And yeah, so we'll see. All right. Love both interviews, Gareth Cliff and the Megaphone Robbie interview. Absolutely awesome. 2 great gentlemen. Thank you so much, Debbie. I appreciate that. 5 clowns changing 1 tire. Have your dinner. Ravani says, government, what it is today, put their own interest in front of the interest of the people who elect them until they see the people as their peers. Nothing will happen. Carlos Puter is back, dropping a bucket. EFF just had to make a circus about the counting observers when they knew full well beforehand what the proceedings for the day would be. Yes, exactly. Because they're asshats. That's what they are. Gabriel from Switzerland gave me 5 Swiss francs. Thank you for that. Moonbass ZA is back. Where you been? Fleshin is here. Good to see Fleshin again. Scientist on the radio. Papa said he wants to stay mayor. Exactly. More clowns, different circus. Let's come on, it's jumped again. My goodness. Okay, we're almost at the end here. Caught up on chat. Note how many ANC corruption indicators are back in Parliament. Gigaba, Mkizi, Mantasha, Mlobo, Ramaphosa, Mashtili. Exactly. They're supposed to do the step-aside rule, but that doesn't apply. Do we get to the deputy president tonight, or does the president announce when he announces ministers? No, the deputy president, as soon as they finish counting these votes, they're going to come back and tell us who the deputy president. Oh no, deputy speaker. Oh, I don't know if we get deputy president tonight, so we'll see. But they're supposed to go until they get it all done. Let's just hope ANC never gets the power to change the Constitution. They don't have it. They're too far away. They had it once. Clean water, electricity, crime being prosecuted, proper education for kids. Our kids can't compete internationally. Please wake up, says PK. So does Mashatile stay, or does CR choose his deputy? No, they vote for deputy. Don't they? I could be wrong. I thought they voted for deputy. RJ says, I'm only here for Colonel Wyatt laughing at my jokes. Okay, what else? Y'all are tuned in live for the election of the Old Age Home Board of Directors. And what else we got here? I am almost state-proof myself, says Richard Lemmer. That's good. And PK works for charity. Doesn't like the numbers. John Mills says if South Africa prospers, the value of this dollar will fall. Rich will suffer bigly. I think you mean mightily. No, not necessarily. No, because the value of the rand is not simply based on South Africa's success. It's also based on America's success or failure. So just because you do better doesn't mean you'll get a better exchange rate. If we do better, you won't get a better one. Mr. Farr says, I really don't understand why people disagree with this coalition. It's better than ANC, MK, EFF, DA. ANC is just a slower decline. Exactly. John Mill says, if South African profits value offshore, dollars will fall. Rich will suffer. Okay, I read that. Sandy says, John Seacamp can't keep this smile off his face when he mentions being a national government. Notice he mentioned quality education. Do you foresee any change in curriculum? Well, the Bella Bill should be dead. I think they'll probably fight for that and get rid of it. President nominates a deputy. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Sean. I misspoke. Yeah. So once we have a president, then he'll pick his deputy. Thank you. All right. Maybe the step aside rule will be enforced from now on with clowns having the country's best. No, not going to happen. Drop in a bucket. Steve Hudson's dress earlier in comments look like this is all positive move. Let's hope I want to start buying 2-ply again. That's a good answer. All right. So what are they waiting for now? Well, they're not voting now, Siv. You're late. Brendan Matheson, welcome to you. They are not voting at all. The voting has paused and nothing's happening. Right now, we're on a break. The House is in recess as they count the votes. Count the money. Count the money. Count the money. No, count the money. Now, they are counting the votes for the deputy speaker. And the deputy speaker nominee from the Democratic Alliance is Annelie Lotrit, who is from, well, Johannesburg. She went to Linden High School, Linden School, a team I saw last night, who fell to their rivals, Randburg. Anyway, so there you go. Not just you, Wilma, network shedding is real. Oh, shame to hear that. All right, so who's shedding there? So anyway, all the people commenting, thank you for that. 175 likes. We got 277 people currently here. And thank you all for being here. So it's a Friday night. I got back to my normal time streaming tonight, but we're not getting a mega audience. We're getting a good size audience. But thank you for being here. Call Bob. Deputy Call Bob. Yeah, so they just finished voting for the deputy speaker of the parliament, and then they'll vote for the president once these two people are installed, because we've already seen Toko Didiza, the former agriculture minister, failure, now the speaker of parliament, was conducting these proceedings after she was elected earlier. She was elected with 284 votes and 8 spoiled ballots. How do you spoil a ballot? Oh my goodness. You're supposed to be a member of parliament. You ought to be able to read the ballot, know what you're doing. Nick 007, shaken not stirred, says ANC partnering with MK and EFF would definitely have been the news in. I think the DA going coalition is the best for now. It would be interesting to see how this affects next elections. Mr. Farr says 2 things scare me: silence in KZN or the terms of the coalition deal. Well, we don't know the terms of the coalition deal. Excuse my back is a little bit off there. We'll find out. It's going to be released publicly, but they didn't say when. Hello, Rich. So what will happen with tender fraud if DA is in charge of finance? Well, not a whole lot, because tender fraud doesn't occur in finance. Tender fraud occurs throughout the government, and it's up to the Justice Department to prosecute that. So if they don't control justice, which they won't, the ANC is going to control all the security cluster. If the DA gets any of the security cluster, if the IFP gets any ministers in the security cluster, I would be astounded. Then the president will choose the members of his cabinet. That's correct. Yep. So that's why the fix is in. So Ramaphosa already has the 87 votes from the DA. He has the 159 votes ostensibly from the ANC. That will get him over the hump. And then he becomes president and he picks ministers. And he's already worked out a deal with the DA, which we don't know who's going to get what ministerial position. So piece of cake. Supposedly going to be a smaller cabinet. We'll see. How does Chinese government do the voting with 3,000 members? What members? Members of the Communist Party? The Politburo? What? All right, so Jim is definitely more interesting than Hell's Kitchen. Mike E says no EC, no Eastern Cape. What? So we also saw that it's all settled in KZN. The MK party is on the outs. They won the plurality of votes, not the majority. They have 45%, and that's not enough. Move this back a little bit here. I'm going to sit back, ease my back there. So the MK party doesn't have enough, and so they are not going to. They're going to be in the opposition with the largest party in the province, and they're going to be the opposition because they don't have enough votes. Simple as that. Yep. Yeah, so that's what's happening there. The IFP has the premier. So they have a premier of KZN. That's good news for Zulu, in my view. And we'll see what happens in KZN. In Gauteng, there's a coalition for provincial unity. They're calling it, but it's another, they're calling it government of provincial unity, but it's actually a coalition once again. Here in Gauteng, ANC, DA are involved in that. I didn't see who else was in it, but those two together have over half the votes. The ANC with 35 and the DA with 27 gives them 35, 45, 55, 62% of the vote in those two parties, so they can rule together without anybody else. We'll see. But again, I don't call this a government of national unity because that's a fraudulent term. There's no government of national unity here. If there were, we'd see Musi Maimani, Gate McKenzie, Athol Trollope, and we'd also see Peter Hernevald up there on the stage, but they're not because they're not in the government. So yeah, so it's not a government of national unity. That's just a misnomer by the ANC to hoodwink their supporters. Basically, we'll still have SAPs that are traumatized, a Navy who can't swim, and an Air Force that can't keep the aircraft in the air. Well, yeah, kind of. Next month, Julius is back in court for his firearm discharge. Well, it's about time for that, Richard. We'll see what happens in the courts now. Yep. Government of national something. I couldn't read what that says, combines or whatever it is. Anyway, yeah, look, folks, let's just talk about this. Let's be honest here. Hang on. Just a little bit more here. There we go. You have to be honest, folks. Let's just discuss this rationally. This is the best possible outcome for South Africa at the moment. I mean, if you want a different outcome, then you need to get people to go to the polls. And again, I told folks, and as I always tell folks, a low voter turnout favors the opposition because they need fewer voters to get a higher percentage. Think about it. I mean, if the ANC gets 10 million votes and you want to get 30%, you have to get 3 million. If the ANC gets 6 million votes and you want 30%, you only need 2 million. So there you go. So smaller parties didn't take advantage of it, and that's the bottom line. The ANC shed voters like viral particles. They just coughed up voters everywhere. Look at the turnout. That's an important thing too. People don't consider the turnout. The turnout in the Eastern Cape, the stronghold of the ANC, the home of the Xhosa, where Nelson Mandela comes from. 50% turnout. Yes, the ANC got 62% of the vote, but how many votes did they lose because ANC voters didn't show up? If the ANC got 62% of 80% of the vote, they'd be much better off. But they got 50% of, or 62% of the 50%. So that gives them 31% of the total registered voters. That's not good. Yeah, so that's what's going on. So, yeah, this is the best you could possibly hope for, folks. You couldn't have got something better than what you've gotten. So, people can be disappointed, but you got to deal with it. National People's Congress says two. Okay, thank you. That's 3,000 votes. That's insane. Well, look at the European Union's parliament. 745 seats. It's ridiculous. Don't know if this was mentioned before, but do we actually have even a single good party in the entire country? Worldwide, this is an issue. No good candidates, just less worse options. Rudolph, yes, you do. You have the ACDP, which is a decent party. You have the Freedom Front Plus, which is a good party, which has good policies for the most part. And they're in Parliament, but they only have a handful of seats. A handful of seats. 4 for the Freedom Front Plus, and 3, I believe, for the African Christian Democratic Party. IFP's, they've got good leadership, so it's not so bad. Hester Coates is here. Welcome to you. Samstan says hello to Erica. And markets have favored this coalition. That's true. Stock exchange is up. Yep, went to school with Adrian Williams' bodyguard. He was a what? What in high school? Okay. Chris, have you seen the awesome team in KZN MVP? VIP, their reaction response unit, their emission response unit, faster place. No, I haven't seen that. Sorry. I'm not familiar with it. So, just moving up here. Freedom Front Plus betray their voters. That's why nobody voted. How did they betray their voters, Ravani? How did they betray them? Tell me how they betrayed them. People don't believe in the government. PK, you were hot on that topic. We got your thoughts on that. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, so I picked up some books today when I was at Santon and recognized a couple of times by Sue and a young man. So this one here, it's by Nicholas Bauer. Great Johannesburg. What happened? How to save an African economic giant. So I picked that one up in there. How long do you think the coalition will last? Scientists, that's impossible for me to predict, but probably we'll see how it goes. Let me make that prediction after the first week, if it survives that long. Okay. So Johannesburg's evolution. Okay, Zama's running riot, water cuts, blackouts, exploding streets, exploding streets, deep salute, political instability. The list goes on. Is the city of gold in a death spiral? Anyway, that's what this story's about. So great city. And then I also got this one. I'm not a fan, but it was 50% off, so I said, what the heck? Joining the Dots, an unauthorized biography of Pravin Gordhan. Wow, by Jonathan Archer. So I picked this one up. Not one of my favorite characters. So Pravin Gordhan has been at the center of many of the storms that have torn through South Africa's political landscape. He's been investigated by the Hawks, fired his finance minister, accused of running a rogue unit at SARS, and come up against the public prosecutor, to name a few. Seasoned journalists Jonathan Archer and Chris Whitfield take a magnifying glass to someone at the center of this tumultuous period. All right, cool. Now you go back to Durban in 1949 when he was born. That's a long way back. So those two books plus one more. Colored. How Classification Became Culture by Teresa Dooms and Lindsay Ebony Chutel. There you go. Colored. So, what does it mean to be a colored? Who are the colored people? Are they San or Khoi, Malay or mixed? Or where in South Africa do they fit in? And then the enduring but also insulting question, do colored people even have a culture? In this book, Teresa Dooms and Lindsay Ebony Chutel challenge the notion that colored people do not have a distinct language, heritage, or culture, that they are neither black nor white enough. Well, they are who they are, and people should not be messing with them. Leave the color folks alone. Good people. All right, so yeah, I'll be reading those books. I saw Ian and Ronaldo sworn in. Don't like the DA, says Patrick. All right, we'll read it. Sounds pretty much the same. Okay. UK's got pie flying around. Okay. Anonap says Chris, ANC and Freedom Front Plus in Northern Cape is an interesting coalition. Yes. Is that what's going to happen? Did they announce that? That's interesting. Patrick says, I think PK is referring to the Freedom Front Plus policy of banning the Afrikaner Accord and self-determination, but I disagree. It was no betrayal. It was just moving with reality. And I agree with you, Patrick. Wow, I haven't been in a bookstore in forever. Love hard copies. Way prefer than those Kindle things. Yep. Deirdre Fenter says, hello from Hartbees Fontaine. Hartbees Fontaine. Is that near Hartbees Port Dam? Hartbees Fontaine. Patrick says, me, I'm colored. Well, there you go, Patrick. Cool for you. That's awesome. Jeanette says, I'm colored. Cool. I have a great affinity for color folks. Awesome group of people who have persevered and endured and built their own culture. Not that dissimilar from Afrikaners, but yeah, color folks, cool people. Hendo knows I love color folks. Cool beans. All right. Well, so far you didn't buy the book I bought you. Okay, Erica. Try to remember. Do I know you bought me a book or? Okay. All right. Well, I've bought 9 books I think on this trip so far. I'll give you a synopsis. Josie book: overpopulated fires and high rises, and even a handful of fire trucks. Sandy Hunt says, any chance you would like to read a children's book that teaches tolerance for all creatures? You mean read it on air? Sure, Sandy, I'll do that. It's just a bit disheartening that the corrupt lot is still there. Yes, I agree with that 100% with you. 100%. What happens to the MPC now? Well, the multi-party coalition, the IFP and the DA will likely exit it now, and it'll just be an artifact of history. That's what will happen. That's my expectation. So Parliament is still on a holiday here. I don't know when they'll come back, but what I'll do is I'm going to break when I break here for something to eat myself, and I'll come back later on and see if they're back in session. If they are, we'll try to do the presidential vote, and we'll do another stream. Sandy's book launches on June 30th. Is that the book that you're asking me to read, Sandy? Wow. Cool. PK says, my question has always been, no matter your color, does your government serve you when you pay them? Okay, PK. PK is all over not trusting the government. We got it, man. Love the Sure. That's a girl. I'm always talking about that. Or choose a deputy. My mom was St. Helena Creole, Irish, and Dutch. My dad was Indian from Durban. And colored people like me aren't accepted besides by similar people like me. Well, that's because you're not... Okay, so this is going to hurt a few feelings, and it's not meant to. All right? Let me just give you a view on this, okay? Colored folks, those... Now, it's been much broader applied more recently. There's nothing wrong with your mixed race, considering yourself being colored. But historically, people looked at colored folks, I'm talking about the past few centuries, as those who were the descendants of the Huguenots, the Dutch, the Germans, who settled in the Western Cape and mixed with the Khoisan and sometimes with the Xhosa, and then, of course, with the Malays who came in and formed a culture based around Dutch and then Kapsa and Afrikaans, and being Dutch Calvinist and having a similar. And many folks from that community have a distinctive facial features and a very distinctive skin hue. And they also typically have French or Dutch surnames as a consequence of the early liaisons between these groups of people. Now, that doesn't mean that's everyone in it, but that's typically what people think of when they think of color. So being St. Helena Creole and part Indian is not necessarily what people think of that as mixed race. Now, this was not an insult. It's not a dig at anybody, and that's not how it's meant to be. I'm just saying that's how historically people have seen colors. Doesn't mean that's right. It doesn't. I'm just saying that's what people see. So I hope that clarifies a few things without chasing people away. Right. Alfred Shukumbusa said the new government must do something on land for the kings and the traditional leaders. Such as, Alfred, what do you mean? Do what on land? Transfer land to traditional leaders? Is that what you're saying? All right. Ron says, how can I join the WhatsApp group? If Hendo's still here, Hendo can put the link, and he just did. There you go. Afrikaner originally meant person of mixed race. Interesting fact there, Mike. Thank you for sharing that. Yep. Jeanette says, okay, fired off a joint request on WhatsApp group, long overdue. All right. Well, thank you for joining us there. Okay. Now there's a travel group, and then there's other groups. So I'll try to keep travel group going after this. Ravani says, just remember, you can't force anyone to be your friend. Yeah, exactly. Yep. All right. Okay, Mr. Farr. No insult taken. There you go. Thank you. Island French. But many people in the Cape like me, Mr. Farr. Well, Mr. Farr, I'm sure I'd like you if I met you. You seem like a decent person. You seem like a good fellow. How about we just do something for ourselves? Okay. SB says you're 100%, Chris. Well, thank you for that, SB. I mean, that's what I was saying. That's why I want to preface that by making this is not intended to insult anyone. I'm just telling you what historically what people view it as. All right, you've got a great sense of humor. Alfred E. Newman. Sean says, when white people are born, they are pink and then go white. When in the sun, they go brown. Could they go blue? Yes, they can go blue if they don't have any oxygen. So who's colored? Well, I'm colored. I tell people all the time I'm colored. I mean, I'm insulted that people that say that I'm not a person of color. I am. I mean, look at my face. It's pink. It's pink. Look at that. That's not quite the same. That's a little more beige there. But yeah, I'm a person of color. I'm pink. Anyway, so Mono Negi says, bro, I'm Indian, but I love Africans. Well, cool, Mono. Thanks for being here. Good to see you there. Yeah, so everyone's colored, but your government decided that you were class when you apply for your first ID. Yep. PK says, gotta love that. Gotta love that. Exactly. Anyway, folks, yeah, so hit that like button. We're up to 205 likes. Got a little bit of super chat revenue. Some of that came in the form of Swiss francs. Thanks for that. Appreciate that. I love Swiss francs. Good currency. Best color is purple, black, says Sedgefield. Well, we all got our favorite colors. Mine is purple. So, Tommy says, he says, I hear Nigel's Reform Party in the UK is now ahead in the polls over the Tories. Wow. Are you serious? I don't think they win a majority, but that is exciting. Race war is what's killing our country. Yes, Alfred Sukumbuzu, brother, you were 100% correct. This nonsense that politicians take and these lunatic races to try to divide us based on race. South Africans, you are a people divided by politicians, a people of diverse backgrounds and origins, a people of diverse languages, a people of diverse experiences, but you are above all South African. South Africa is kind of like America. You know, being Zulu doesn't make you South African. It can. Certainly being Ndebele doesn't make you South African because most of the Ndebele live in Zimbabwe. Being Tswana doesn't make you South African because a bunch of them live in Botswana. And Nama, and Damara, they live in South Africa and Namibia. So what makes you South African? An idea, an ideal. Yes, being born here makes you South African national. What makes you a South African? What culture and language? Every South African, black, white, brown, does a braai. Everybody does a braai. Yeah. And a lot of folks understand what a Joel is, right? Anyway, so it's like being an American. You don't have to be white or black or brown to be an American or Jew, Christian, Muslim. You just have to adhere to ideals. Being born in America does, by default, make you an American, like South African. But being an American is something that is a concept, an idea. So, Colonel, you mean the Cape Colors. About what? The vote for Deputy Minister will show how many ANC members voted for the DA, the Deputy Speaker. Yes, Gavin, and if it doesn't pick the DA person, or if it's not 159, then there's going to be a lot of people in the ANC in trouble. Only in one poll, majority of the polls show conservatives still way ahead of reform. Yeah, okay, there you go. Right? Yeah, do follow me on Twitter too, folks. I'm on Twitter, WMW Chris, WMW Whiskey Mike Whiskey Chris. Please follow me on Twitter. I don't have many followers on Twitter, just 1,400 after almost 20 years on Twitter. Yep. All right, there's the WhatsApp group. James Stoter says, just curious how the Indians asked for land compensation in America. Native Americans, those Indians, well, some of them have treaties with the U.S. government. And most of those recognized tribes have their own land and reservations, which they have partial control over. And they exercise law enforcement, among other things. And they work through the Bureau of Indian Affairs. So there's no real reason to do it, unless people want to claim more land. But there weren't that many Indians in America when Europeans settled there. Most of the Indians had been wiped out by diseases brought there by the Spanish into Florida, influenza and other things which spread throughout the American Southeast and killed tens of millions of Indians before they ever saw a single white European. So there wasn't, and you know, people are going to say the same thing about the infant but it's a different situation. And we know for a fact that disease wiped out Mesoamerican Indians populations. We saw this throughout the Americas, so particularly North America. So anyway, yeah. DA's best party in South Africa, says Mono Nagy. Okay, well, I don't know if everybody agrees with that, but thank you for that. Reform might have got close to the Tories, but watch the BBC and others do a job on them over the next few weeks. Oh, I think you're 100% correct on that. So how is change going to take place? Which change you talking about, Muriel? Okay. It was an official UK poll that had 18 reform, 17 conservative. All right, online optics, maybe an official poll, but that doesn't really tell us a whole lot. Have you eaten dinner? No, I haven't, freelance Kate, and that's what I'm about to say. I really hate the break. We got 243 people here, and I hope that you've enjoyed this. In dispatch, there are colored with the surname Engelbrecht. My uncle Word with one way back, huh? I don't know what that means. ANC members will get a free pass. No, I don't think they'll get a free pass. They'll just get no one pushing for it. So I'm going to wrap up here and thank the 241 people here, plus all the others who've watched this so far. Please hit the like button if you haven't done it already. And if you want to leave a comment behind, you're welcome to do that. But I need to take a break. I also need to find out who this phone call is from because it called me previously. I'm going to call on my other phone. Anyway, so thank you so much. And I will be back tonight, most likely, with another live stream and update about what's going on and who the president is. And we'll talk about that, okay? So look for that to be announced, and I'll figure out when it's going to be on, but it's not going to be on right now. I need to go get some food. I am famished. I'm getting a bit of a headache from not eating. So Mr. Farr just gave 70 Rand, vodka martini, shaken, not stirred. Thank you so much for that. And there was something there I just missed. Most of us love each other when we see each other in person. They vibe with us. They don't hate them. We're all asking them to join us. Yep, exactly. Cool beans. And there's the email address if you want to send me an email. And I'll eat, and I'll catch you guys a little bit later. Thanks a lot, everybody. Hit the like button. It is a distinct pleasure to have your support and to chat with you tonight. God bless. And South Africa, you've so far gotten the best outcome you possibly can. We're waiting for the results of the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, and then we'll get the vote for President. Cheers, everybody. I'll catch you later on. And thanks for being here. Cheers.